So I will continue the third part in this chapter. Everything that we did before was related to grade 10. So it was revision from grade 10. Now we're going to start redoing what we need to know in grade 11. This part is page 243. You can see this is part 1. So how we find an angle of two lines. How we're going to find the angle between two lines. So they said here, the angle between D1 and D2, if I look at my figure, is the angle formed by their parallel lines drawn from any point on the space. Now, if I look here, if I have those two lines like this, it's impossible to measure the angle between those two lines. I need to move those lines in a way to see the intersection. Then now I can measure the angle. So I need to make a parallel. I need to choose a point in the space, for example, and I do a parallel, and I just, as I'm doing a translation to find the angle between the two lines. Now, when I do this translation, if those two, if the angle that I got is 90 degrees, it means that those lines are orthogonal. And kind of like this in the space. And when you move the lines, they make a 90 degrees, so they are orthogonal. So if I look here at my figure, I can choose this point in the space. If you see, I will translate it. This one will be here. If I do the parallel for the second line, so it's here. They meet now here. I can measure this angle. Now, if this angle that I measured is 90 degrees, I can say that those two lines are orthogonal. لأنه I cannot measure the angle between two lines if they are not coplanar, يعني منه in the same plane. Those two lines are not coplanar. You cannot measure the angle between them. I translate the lines to see what is the angle between those two lines. Part 7. This is very important. Very, very, very important. And this one we'll use it too much in the chapter. Line perpendicular to a plane. First, let's see what is the definition. يعني, what I can deduce every time I have a line perpendicular to a plane or orthogonal to a plane. A line is perpendicular to a plane. This is my plane. If a line is perpendicular to a plane, it means it is orthogonal to all the lines in this plane. And if you put any line in the plane here, okay, they are orthogonal. Those are orthogonal. If I move, the angle is 90. If I move this line, the angle is 90. Now, how do we prove it perpendicular? How do we prove that the line is perpendicular to a plane? Should I prove it perpendicular to all the lines of the plane? Sure, no. To prove that a line is perpendicular to a plane, it is enough to prove it orthogonal to two intersecting lines in the plane. Why I say intersecting lines? لأنه the two intersecting lines, they form the plane already. So if I prove that, for example, this line is perpendicular to this one and perpendicular to this one, or orthogonal to those two, and sure it's perpendicular to the two intersecting lines that form a plane and to the plane. So every time you need to prove that a line is perpendicular to a plane, you need to prove it orthogonal to two intersecting lines in this plane. Once you prove that, I can deduce that. I can use the result on it's orthogonal to all the lines in this plane. We will see too much in the exercise of this one. So this one is one of the important properties that we need to know in this chapter. Now let's move to part 8 اللي هن properties. Those are like the plane geometry, guys. But هون عم نشتغل lines and plane. If two lines are parallel, okay? Two lines are parallel. Any plane perpendicular to the first line, okay, is perpendicular to the second line, like the plane geometry. If two lines are parallel, any line perpendicular to the first line is perpendicular to the second one. هون عم نشتغل بالplane. So if two lines are parallel, any line perpendicular to the plane perpendicular to the first line is perpendicular to the second line. Now, if two planes are parallel, let's take those two parallel planes. How are the two parallel planes? Okay. Any line perpendicular to one of them is perpendicular to the other one. But well, if two lines are parallel, any line perpendicular to the first, perpendicular to the second, the same. If two planes are parallel, okay, any line that is perpendicular to the first is perpendicular to the second plane. Now, if two plane perpendicular to the same plane are parallel, easy peasy. Two planes, how do two planes? Perpendicular to the same plane. Let's say this is a plane. هذا plane. And this plane is perpendicular to this plane. Okay? I'll do it like this. How can I hold it? I cannot hold it. Well, this plane is perpendicular to this plane. I will put it here, okay? So you can see it like this. So as it's perpendicular to the first plane, perpendicular to the second, to the same plane, they are parallel. And the last one is very important. If a line is perpendicular to a plane, okay? هذه كمان will use it too much. Any line, okay, see, I can see it. This is perpendicular to the plane. Any line that is orthogonal to this line, how it could be? It could be or like this, or down, or orthogonal from down. So, or this line is parallel to the plane or including the plane. So, if I have a line perpendicular to a plane, هيدا البانسل, okay? If I take the red line perpendicular to this gray line, أو راح تكون parallel to the plane or included in the plane. And this one we're gonna use it too much. هيدي part 5 you're gonna use it too much. It's very important. Okay? Now we go to part 9. Part 9 is the mediator plane. This is the last one in this video. Now, mediator plane of a segment. It's the same idea as the perpendicular bisector. هيدا it's my segment. What does mediator plane? مه يعني median يعني midpoint. So it is the plane perpendicular to the line at the midpoint. Okay? And the same هلا مثل ما بنقول if I have a perpendicular bisector, any point on the perpendicular bisector is equidistant. Same idea. If I have the mediator plane, any point on a mediator plane is equidistant from the two vertex of the segment. So if you want, guys, I will show it to you in the book. The figure is more accurate. I have the segment AB. I is the midpoint. هيدا ال P يعني it's cutting like this. It cuts the segment in its midpoint. So this is called the mediator plane. Any point M, you can see it's on the plane, it's equidistant. So I can write MA is equal to MB. Please, I don't feel lost, guys. Now, with the application, you're gonna feel that oh, it's so easy. Just I want you to memorize the property. أهم شيء. How do we prove that a line is perpendicular to a plane? And it's very important. If a line is perpendicular to a plane, any line perpendicular to it, our orthogonal is أو parallel أو included in the plane. How the two important properties that we will use it now in the exercises. Okay, so we're gonna start after this video directly application with the online session.